Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another Talk It Out Tuesday. As always, I'm Christy. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. I am having problems with my mic. You know what? Actually, I'll just switch it to my regular mic. That way, I don't have any issues in the long run. Let's just leave it at that. That way, there's no issues at all, just in case. I am waiting for Eileen to join in, but today we're talking about shame. So I'm just going to jump into it. I don't have too long today because I have things to do. So to get started, shame itself is something that is different from guilt. It's something that we confuse the two. But guilt is generally about something that you have done. It refers to something you did wrong or a behavior that you feel bad about, whereas shame refers to something about your character or who you are as a person that you believe is unacceptable. Shame is not about doing something wrong. It's that you feel that you're wrong entirely as a person. While guilt is about wrong actions, shame is about being wrong as a person, like I said. So it's important to know the difference between the two. Without at least a little bit of shame, people have trouble measuring the effects of their behaviors on people. So there is such a thing as healthy shame. However, in modern society, it's more of a negative thing and it's used really excessively, especially against ourselves. So, since we want to be accepted, shame is an evolutionary tool that we use to keep ourselves in check, like I said, to measure the effects of our behaviors on others. So, how do you know when you're feeling ashamed or that you feel shame? Usually, the signs are your head is lowered, your eyes are closed or hidden, and the upper body kind of curves in on itself. You want to be as small as possible. Um, I have Eileen joining in, but her camera's a little weird, so I don't know what's going on with that. Um, so most of the time when we feel shame, it usually comes from something else. It's usually a past experience of feeling judged, criticized, or rejected by something else or someone else. And it triggers our autonomic nervous system. So that's the part of our nervous system that controls and regulates the internal organs without us having to think about it. With that being said, there are two parts. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for connecting the different organs of our bodies through our brain, through our spinal cord. That's what triggers our fight or flight when we're having those feelings of shame, because when we feel ashamed, we kind of want to curl up and die, right? So we also have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is comprised of nerve fibers or cranial nerves. So that is more of our calming mechanism internally. I'm going to try to bring Eileen out, but I think she's having issues with her phone. I think you might have to join and come back in, but we'll find out. Yeah, you're going to have to come out and come back in because you can't really see you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You look like window shades that are totally different technicolors. I don't know what's going on. So I'll remove you. Just jump out and jump back in. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So she'll be back in a minute. Shame can be a contributing factor in a lot of different mental health conditions. That's why it's important to talk about. It could be a contributing factor in depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. It can lead to, it can actually lead to eating disorders, as well as subclinical sociopathy. So you can actually literally trigger a psychotic breakdown by feeling shame. So the problem with shame is it usually comes from, like I said, either somebody else, that past experience that somebody judged you, or that, you were rejected in some way. But it also has a lot to do with ourselves and setting high expectations that we know we can't reach. So, for example, being the golden child of your family, that's a really high expectation. It can lead to a lot of anxiety. So we don't want to set those high expectations for ourselves. There she is. All right, we're good now. Hi, Miss Eileen.
Sorry about that. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. So I was just going down my whole spiel from earlier. I actually just finished up. So I left off with how setting high expectations for ourselves and listening to the high expectations of others is what really can lead to shame. And we do it to ourselves as a form of punishment, but there are healthy levels of shame because it helps us gauge how our behaviors affect others. So.
Very true.
There you go. So I don't know if you want to go back into what you went into earlier. It's really up to you because I can also post the live from earlier. So.
Yeah. So this time will be better organized with what I said. So this is something that I overcame myself. Shame when I did a deep dive within reflecting myself. So understand this shame, this feeling, it's low vibrational and we don't want to stay stuck in it, but it's okay if you feel it because ultimately it's a feeling, it's an emotion, and you should just feel it. And there again, like Christy has, there's healthy levels to it because ultimately if you feel that shame, then there's something that you're doing that ultimately makes you feel that way. You should not allow other people, unless it's in a healthy way and how they give you their perspective and telling you how, making you feel ashamed of maybe something that you're not doing. But ultimately, if they're making you feel like shit, like you're a dirty or like a grimy person, like unless that act was like intentional, that you were putting that out there, shame, someone should never shame you in your place of where you're at in your journey right now, is because you didn't know any better. and you have to take accountability for your actions that put you in that situation, whatever it may be, for shame. So accountability is an aspect of it. But as long as you recognize it and take a pause and reflect, okay, what is making me feel this way? And how can I change it to something more positive instead of feeling this low negative feeling? So it is you can ultimately anything negative, you can transmute it to making something positive out of it. So shame, I overcame, and it's all about a shift in perspective. So in my mindset, how I came to be is like accepting where you are at in life. Everybody will come through highs and lows because nobody's perfect, and you understand that you have to accept yourself where you didn't know any better because either it was your unhealed version or you just didn't have that knowledge for someone to guide you or a model for a place where you ultimately felt shame. Okay, because you have to understand that everybody in this journey is nobody perfect. Nobody's perfect, and I accept that myself because I'm on my own journey to fully loving myself. And I hope whoever's watching is on that same journey, because when you fully love yourself, magic happens, and it's going to be the greatest thing for you, and everyone around you is going to benefit, right? So with shame, what helped me a lot was accepting, okay, all these things that happened that make me feel shame, I forgave myself and took accountability of where I was at, because either it was my unhealed version of self, or I just didn't know any better because I was young and didn't know what the fuck I was doing. It is what it is. But you can learn from that experience. Like for me, an example is like, okay, so I was young and I was in college and I got knocked up. But my family, my mother especially, she made me feel shame because in Asian culture, a family name is a big thing. So the family name is like, Asian culture is like, okay, it's big about carrying on the name. That's why Asian culture, they prefer the son, so they to have a son so they can carry on the family name, right? But with the family name, it's big. Like reputation is big in my family. But when I was the first one, got knocked up, and I was like, I did have protection, but then I got a little careless, so I got knocked up. But everybody was like, wow. And like my mom made me feel like shit, because she said like she put the family name in dirt because I got knocked up and I didn't finish college. And I felt like shit. But then also like, you said like, I was young and, I didn't have, like, I was like out away from home, and I was kind of felt free from the environment that I was with, which is like toxic and negative. But ultimately, everyone in this life, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have failures, but you just have to learn from it. And if you feel shame, it's okay, but don't stay stuck in that low emotion. Be better than that. Be above that. And it's okay if you feel shame because either you have an addiction to something or whatever it is. Mistakes and failures are experiences for you to learn from. And that's how I shifted my mindset, where it came to be, it's just a lesson. Everything's an experience, whether you learn from it, positive or negative. And if you feel shame, that's okay, but don't stay stuck in that vibration, because ultimately, how I see it is, it's just a lesson. So I try not to feel shame anymore. I overcame that. I'm accept where I'm at right now. I'm still at my mom's house. I'm saving money. It's okay. I'm back at my mom's house. I'm like 32 years old. I have no shame for it anymore. It is what it is. Everybody, if they're truly your family, they're here to support you, right? But they shouldn't make you feel shame because you're not, having this most successful career, or being married by this time, or whatever it is. I'm a single mother. It's not my fault. It happened. Like my son's father died when he was young. It is what it is. I didn't ask to be a single mother, but it is what it is.
Relatable. No. My thing with that is, number one, I think we all, to some degree, wish that we could live with our parents and save money. There is no shame in that. Like, a lot of us are sitting on the side, but like, I'm sitting on the side, like, going, I wish, and I get what you're saying, because when we get to our parents and we're in our 30s, it can be very toxic, because it is hard for our parents to recognize and understand that we are adults now. Very, very, very adult. Like, you haven't made a dentist appointment for me in 10 years, girl. Chill, But at the same time, putting that boundary down, that's really hard. And our parents do tend to make us feel shame for that. Well, you always be my baby. Okay, well, I'm in my 30s now, so it's time to maybe, like, loosen the leash a little bit, even if you're in their house, but it is a tough situation. So I understand that. And when it comes to every time you say the family name and your culture, I just watched Mulan last night. So I've got Mushu in my head going dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. And I wanted to say it, but you were having a moment and I didn't want to ruin that being stupid like I always do. And I'm sorry. But that's all. It happened earlier.
It's been hilarious, honestly.
I was going to say something earlier, like, Chris, it's not supposed to be funny. Stop it. Stop it.
Okay. It's serious, but then it's not that serious because shame is just a feeling, okay? And it's just a feeling. You have to just feel it and transmute that negative energy into something positive. Because for anyone to make you feel that low and feel shame, it's good to reflect on it and take accountability with actions that make you ultimately feel that way. Someone shouldn't shame you. Ultimately, they should be there to support you, to help you, support you and understand that you're just hitting a low point in your life where you may feel that way. Because, like, through life, you're going to come through ups and downs. That's the way it is. It's never going to be perfect. This earth is never going to have a fucking utopia. Like, it is what it is. And you just accept that because everyone is going through something and they're suffering from it. Everyone. And everyone will definitely benefit from healing, and you just have to recognize that in your life there are gonna be low moments. It's gonna happen because when you're at the high, sometimes some shit's gonna hit you and knock you down. But adversity is gonna make you become stronger because of it. Because ultimately, it's gonna help you grow and you evolve from it. Because then you know better because of it. Imagine if for example, like I had bought a car and I didn't know I was being like swindled. So I realized that your down payment doesn't actually go to the principal amount. No. You make a down payment, so don't ever fucking do it. And they charge, even with like a bad credit, they should never charge you like a 15+% rate. So I learned that from that experience. You just didn't know any better, and you learned from the experience. And you shouldn't feel shame for it because you didn't know it. Nobody taught you, okay? Everything is literally a learning experience.
Yep.
And how I went through shame is just forgiving myself, forgiving the other person, and like understanding that I just need to let it go because it's in the past. It's done already. Don't get caught up in there because it's not done. The present now moment is like the most important in the now moment. So what you can do is, if you want, like, this is how I did it. I literally listed everything. I listed everything that ultimately either made me feel some type of way, a low vibration, something I didn't forgive, or resentment, whatever it is, but shame is an aspect of it. I forgave everything that has happened to me, and I forgave the other person because you're not going to get an apology that you expect. It's not going to happen.
Ever.
You not ever. Forgive it and you let it go. Because once you release that, once you let go of things that you cannot control, then you are making room for things to come in your life that's much better. Whether you know or not, the universe is working to give you something better. So just believe that and have faith that's going to happen. So
that's true. And it happens a lot where, for example, we have a social interaction. Like, let's say I go out and I do a show and I'm like, that was not my best work, like, at all. And I'll beat myself up for it all night and feel ashamed because I know that I can do better. Instead of saying, yeah, it wasn't my best work, but still killed it, number one. And number two, what can I learn from this to do better the next time? So it's feeling that feeling, that's healthy shame, and then moving on from it. Because again, that shame that I felt in that moment was because of my own high expectations or a past show that I know I did better. So a past experience or my own high expectations brought on that shame. And again, it can be healthy to feel shame. It's just not healthy to sit and stay there. It's not healthy to feel ashamed everywhere you go, everything you do, to be afraid to speak up for yourself. And I've noticed this a lot when it comes to people who have been in abusive relationships. They get constantly shut down every time they say something, and they take that into their future, even when they're no longer in that situation, because that's what they're used to, that constant rejection, that shame. Like, I shouldn't feel like the need to speak up. I should just be quiet. No, you shouldn't. You better start yelling. Cause a scene, girl. Cause a whole scene, fella.
Exactly.
Girl, guy, kid, not kid. girl or guy, cause a scene. Kids, like, you might get slapped up. So you just, pick and choose your battles, okay? but when it comes to that shame, it's just, instead of living in the should have and would have, like, we'll go to the ice cream example I used earlier. I could have ice cream for breakfast. Absolutely. I'm in my 30s. There is nobody monitoring my fridge or my stomach, okay? Should I have ice cream for breakfast? No, probably not. Would I have ice cream for breakfast? Yeah, I had a crappy day. So I had ice cream for breakfast. But what are the effects of having that for breakfast? I will sit down and I'll write it out. And writing it out, as you know, I mention it every Talk It Out Tuesday, is my number one tool for everything. I write it out. What's the positive of me having ice cream for breakfast? I'll feel great. It'll be delicious. What are the negatives? I'm going to feel like absolute dog shit by 12 o'clock because I am in my 30s and I need something more than ice cream for breakfast. And me and sugar don't get along too well. I have very severe ADHD. So it doesn't matter at that point. I'm not going to feel ashamed when I feel like crap at 12 o'clock because I knew by writing it down what was going to happen. And I still chose to make that decision to have ice cream for breakfast anyway. I'm not going to feel ashamed for it. I'm just going to feel kind of stupid. And that's on me. That's not setting a high expectation. That's just me knowing that I'm going to have a stupid outcome and still making that stupid decision anyway. I am blonde, so I need to learn the lesson by doing things like at least 2 or 3 times, just to be sure, just to make sure, I have all of the ducks in the wrong rows before I make a good decision. So
the great learning lesson. So touching on that, you can't get caught up on your shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, what's done is done. You made your choice, and it boils down to your choices, right? You can do better next time, but it boils down to your choices. Every day, you make choices. So if you know that maybe you shouldn't be making this choice and you'll be stay stuck in the same situation, or it's going to ultimately not benefit you, help you grow, or, may you progress further in your life, whatever his goal is or whatever it is may be, it boils down to your choices. So that's where you have the will to change your life or, get out of these situations that you're stuck in. And It boils down to your choices. So look at your choices that you make every day. If you're doing the same thing, you're going to be staying stuck in the same thing every time. You have to get out of your comfort zone. So maybe you wouldn't feel these low emotions, which is shame, because it boils down to your choices. That's literally all you have every single day. And if you don't know what choices to make an action plan. Ultimately, write down what it is that you would know that would not make you feel like you're suffering anymore. Because again, it's a shift in mindset. And it's easier said than done because we're so prone and so programmed to be in a negative mindset. It's hard to switch onto a positive mindset.
Yep.
But it's a game changer once you reprogram yourself to do so. Because ultimately, you'll have more happier moments. Yeah.
I do have that. I just want to mention on the action plan, I do have an action plan template. I'm happy to send it to anybody who messages me. Let me know.
Yes.
I do have yours. I have to send it to you. I will today. I promise. But
thank you. No problem. No rush. Honestly. So
it's just literally kind of lining out and answering questions that you really don't want to answer. What is my main goal? What's a big goal I need to get done this month? This is something I have to get done. That's the start of an action plan, is putting that intent into it. Because without intent, you're not going to reach your goal. You have no intentions of reaching the goal. We talked about intent one week. This is why. If you don't have that intention, you're not going to reach that goal. Then you're going to feel shame for not reaching your goal. It's a circle, people. There's a reason we picked
literally a cycle. Break the cycle, people. Yeah. Right. And writing things down, like journaling, is a really great tool. It really is. So that will ultimately help you. That's another tool that you can look and reflect on your life or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Besides action plan, journaling down your thoughts is going to help brain dump it. So you're not caught up overthinking all the fucking time.
And for me too, like journaling wise, I don't write in my journal. So what I do is I have very severe ADHD, and a lot of the time it's just really hard for me to kind of figure out what it is I'm thinking, because there's about 40 different things going on at one time. There's fireworks going on in the background. There's like a dog meme several doors down, and I'm looking at that, then my son's talking to me, and then he's got 40 ideas and he's rapid firing because he's ADHD. Like there's just a lot in here. So what I do for me, and this is just me, is I make a journal. I have paper and ribbon and buttons and stickers. I got dope stickers. I think I showed you my sticker collection.
Yeah.
It's starting to dwindle. I got to go get more. So when I'm down at City Hall on that Monday, I am hitting that store and I'm making it rain on them stickers. But what I do is I have a book and I literally just like rip papers and I make little pages. And that helps me kind of, while I'm doing that, organize what's going on in here. So my action plans are like different file folders in my head, because as organized as I am here, I am very organized here. It's just trying to stay in one place at once, to put the files in the right folders, in the right section, in the right filing cabinet. That is my brain. So like I said, the fireworks, the memes, there's like pouring on in the background, like there's a lot going on here in this brain. So you got to kind of organize it. So for you, it's writing down your thoughts. And as a borderline, I totally second that. It has saved me from sending many paragraphs, because the paragraph that I would have texted, I wrote down instead. And then I'm going, oh, I'm glad I didn't send that. Because shame is very big with borderline when we split.
Yeah.
Because you go from being like, to being like, I will literally fucking destroy you and everything you love that quickly. And then we're like, fuck, I did it again, because we don't have the memory the next day. Like, I will literally be the biggest bitch in the world to someone who I'm splitting on. And it comes from whatever. You didn't text me back or something stupid that just triggers me. I walk like a total bitch, and the next morning I'll be like, so you want pancakes? Like, I won't even remember. And they're going to be like, bitch, you're literally fucking crazy. And I'm going like, yeah, I told you that, So, but that's kind of how our brain goes. And then there's like that shame spiral, like looking through text messages going, oh my God, there's like 18 here and like 4 calls and like not one was answered, but everyone was read. And now you have that shame spiral, like not my best work, but in the moment, it all seemed like totally normal behavior. So kind of like, I'm just saying it sucks to be a borderline, but shame has a lot to do with that. But it's learning that, number one, healthy shame is good, but you can't live in that negative emotion. You gotta, what did you learn? Yeah. See, that's what I hate about parenting too, because we watch our kids get into situations and they feel shame because, like, for example, my mom would go, well, that'll teach you, or, well, that's what you get. And that leads to a shameful feeling, like say you're running around and you fall. Well, that's what you get for running around. No.
Yeah, I don't like that phrase, but it's basically, It's just a learning moment. That's literally all it is. It's just a learning moment so you can learn from it. If you're not going to listen, you're going to be that stubborn little person. It's just a learning moment so then, yeah. Yeah, and yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Instead of saying like, well, that's what you get, I'll say to my son, well, what did you learn? Not going to do that again, are you?
I love that.
Look at what happened. It's bringing awareness and not shame to the bad or negative or, shitty behavior. We're all pieces of shit. That's just bottom line into discussion.
Yes. You're either an angel to somebody or you're the villain. You just have to accept someone's perspective of you and just not give a shit anymore. Because I felt shame a lot about me as a mother that I'm still growing and learning to be. And I felt a lot of shame where you can't be 100% all the time. And ultimately my son's father's side of the family, they understand it. And I hope they are. I didn't really give the context when I was going through my shit past 2 months. But I believe they're understanding, but I still felt shame. I didn't feel like want to show my face around them and things like that. But you have to accept, their perspective view is what it is. It's because you were in a low point where you weren't healing. And yeah, that's only what it boils down to. So this, it's a big thing to overcome, let me tell you. And one of the biggest questions I asked myself when I reflected on that is like, okay, even though regret is like a different topic, ask yourself, you would ultimately feel shame if you still live in regret. So ask yourself, if I was in my deathbed tomorrow, what regrets would I have? Because ultimately you would feel shame for things that you have accomplished or things that you didn't focus on that was important to you. So answer that question for yourself.
Yep. And I do have a topic on regret. We will get into that because that is different from shame. Just like when I explained earlier, guilt is also different from shame. So to reiterate what I said earlier, while guilt is about wrong actions, shame is about being wrong as a person. Shame refers to something about your character or who you are that you believe is unacceptable. It's not about doing something wrong, whereas guilt is generally about something you've done. It refers to something you did wrong or a behavior that you feel bad about. So that's the difference between those two.
Yeah. And like ultimately we have it in our knowing of what is right and wrong. But if you make a mistake, just learn from it. Failures and mistakes are just something to learn from. And there's no right or wrong. Because if you didn't know any better, then that's okay. Accept that. Okay? And just take accountability. That's like the biggest thing that helped me overcome that. And I hope this helps for anyone who's watching. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But it is important to have these conversations because people don't realize the effects that these kinds of feelings and these kinds of negative emotions can have if they're extended on your mental health. You're not helping yourself. And if you want to be better, then you have to do better and you have to grow. And that means you have to you have to hold yourself accountable for like I was saying earlier, we are all pieces of shit. We're all just different kinds of shit and different levels of shit. I'm glitter shit. Okay. Some people are Taco Bell shit. So how do you get to be glitter shit? You accept the fact that you are shit. And you're like, how can I be a better piece of shit today? And you write it down. This is how I think I could be a better piece of shit today. I will not text back them when they don't answer the first text. That's one way to not be. And if that what makes you feel, again, I'm a borderline. So I'm using myself as an example because that was a big thing for me. I would keep texting like 3 hours later, like, oh, okay. Then I start that negative behavior. It's not the responsibility to text me back. Like, bitch, get a hobby. So I did. I got a hobby, it's things like that. I was like, how can I stop doing this? I wrote it down. Okay, I'm going to do this instead. And that helped. I started doing that instead. Like for you, journaling was your thing. You do that instead. And now you're like a little bit less of a piece of shit. So now you're moving up the radar from Taco Bell shit to glitter shit. And I'll stop talking about shit now. I just thought that was a great example.
Yeah, just ultimately try just baby steps. And then if you need guidance, if you need help, seek out a life coach or a therapist, somebody who's more licensed to maybe to listen to you and possibly guide you in a better direction. Because again, we are just learning, we are giving you from our life experience for things that we overcame. So use discernment, but ultimately, if you need help, reach out. There is help. And this is what we created this for, that hopefully open your eyes and be aware that there are steps and tools that you can take to ultimately shift your mindset and overcome these things that result in these kind of mental, again, I don't like the word illness or disabilities, but that's what ultimately it is, to overcome it. And it's going to take a while, but if you ultimately get there, it's going to be amazing. And I cannot wait that for you. I can't wait to see for you, whoever's watching, that ultimately you can overcome these things. And yeah.
Now I just wish I could play a sound real quick because I'd play like "Shine Bright Like a Diamond" from Rihanna, like in the background. I'm not gonna sing it, but just know I thought about it. I really did.
So touching on that, pressure. Okay, pressure creates the diamond, and all these things that you're going through, it's just pressure, so you can become the best version of yourself. All this shit you're going through, adversity, suffering, it's ultimately to help you grow and evolve from it. Adversity is gonna happen. Shit's gonna happen. You're not gonna always be high. It's not gonna fucking happen. You will have up and downs, but you have to learn from it. It's ultimately grow, and it's a shift in mindset and perspective to help you overcome this shit, whether everything, basically.
And that's a good point too about the highs and the lows. You did it earlier. You did a little wave. I thought I was waiting for it. You were like, "And you ride the waves." I'm going, "Yeah, boogie board, baby." I got all excited. I'm picturing the beach. But to be more serious, yes, the highs and the lows. As somebody, like I hear all the time, find your balance, find your balance. That is bullshit. There is no balance. You will either be high or you will be low or you will be neither. And that's still not balanced. You're either numb all the way up or all the way down. There's no real balance anymore. It's just learning to recenter yourself when you're in the highs, when you're in the lows, learning to cope and manage and use different coping strategies and mechanisms to bring yourself back to recenter so that you're not going off the deep end. We don't like psychotic episodes here.
It's ultimately coming down to be a master of your mind. Once you learn to master your mind, nobody can phase you. Literally nothing. If you can master your mind, again, it comes down to a shift in mindset. Because once you learn self-empowerment, and when you love yourself, nothing can fucking phase yourself because you're a fucking badass, okay? Everyone can be a badass. It's just confidence, self-empowerment, and shift in mindset because nothing can phase you, but it's ultimately mastering your mind because your mind will fuck you up if you let those inner demons get to you. You better fucking talk to those demons, be like, listen, bitch, you're not gonna come at me today because I'm done. I'm done living in this fucking world where all these dark thoughts, dark images, whatever it is that's ultimately making you feel this type of way because they're attacking you. These demons are attacking you, what I call inner demons, your thoughts, whatever. I don't know what you believe in, but this is what I call it. Fight them bitches. Be like, listen, today's not the day. I'm done. I'm done being low in this dark. And you have to be, what do you call those? What fights demons? I don't know. I don't know about supernatural shit.
Exorcism. No, you gotta throw the line from Labyrinth out. You have no power over me.
Absolutely. That's what it is. Those thoughts are not yours. Those demons that are attacking you, they have no power over you. And you don't know it, but you are a magical bitch or motherfucker.
I'm a chain, magical
believe
bitch.
It. Exactly.
Put that on your business card. I love it. I love it. But yes, when you're sitting there and you're having those negative thoughts, like that's exactly what you're saying. Demons, negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts as well. You know, where you're sitting there washing a knife and it's like, let's stab ourselves. You're like, whoa, you know, accepting those thoughts and moving on from it. Like, yeah, that happened. And then keep it pushing and not sitting there in that moment and in those thoughts and letting those thoughts take over is what's important. You're going, skirt, stop sign, baby. Keep it pushing. You know, not a Philly slide. You do full stop. You know, the full 3 seconds, you look both ways, and then you keep going. You know, if you do the Philly slide, you're not really feeling the emotion. It's not about controlling your mind. It's about controlling your emotions. That's what it's about. Because when you let your emotions take over, when emotions are just fleeting, emotions are not meant to stay, even happiness, you know, even love. And I know there's some people on Facebook like, I love my husband. You don't always love your husband, bitch. Shut up. No, you don't. You love your husband some days. You hate your husband other days. You get what I'm saying? It changes every couple hours. Emotions are fleeting. Learn to recognize them. Learn to control them. Learn to let them go. Feel them.
That's key.
Let them go. Exit stage left. When I'm sitting in bed and I'm like, farted in the supermarket. Not my best work. I'm not going to think about that for 3 hours. I'm just going to acknowledge it happened, laugh about it because we have to learn to laugh at ourselves in those embarrassing moments. It keeps us humble.
Humility, yeah.
Period. Humiliate yourself a little bit. It's healthy for everybody. Keeps you humble. I swear to you, Kim Kardashian has farted in a supermarket at least once. Like, okay. And I bet she didn't lay in bed thinking about it. No, she didn't, because she knows that she's a badass bitch. And you are too, listener. You know?
True.
So,
and emotions are meant to be felt. Once you release it, it's gone. That's it.
Yep. They are temporary stays. They are, you know, the friend that's in from out of town and they crash on your couch for one day and then they're gone. You know, they're not a roommate. They're not an extended stay. None of that. This is not an extended stay hotel. Your brain is not an extended stay hotel for emotions.
Don't bottle it up either.
It is a motel that you rent for 3 hours at a time to do sketchy stuff. And then you move on.
Exactly.
Period. So, with that being said, I have nothing else to add. But if you do, feel free to put your final thoughts in.
No final thoughts. I am just hoping that you take the initiative to your own healing, to better yourself. Whoever it is watching, we're here for your benefit, not ours. And we just want to put it out there. There is support for you. And join us for our next live next Tuesday. Which topic is?
I'd have to look it up. I don't have it in front of me.
Well, keep a lookout.
Yeah, keep a lookout. It's not in front of me. I'll pull it up. But on top of that, I do want to mention that I am doing a Christmas Eve live for everybody watching. Make sure you tune in. Going to have some special guests. Christmas Eve is really big for suicide. So I want to make sure to remind everybody that they are not going to be alone. So once Santa leaves my house, because I'll trust nobody in my house without being watched, people, okay? Even the fat man in a red suit, all right? I just don't do it. But once he leaves, I'm going to pop on probably about 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you tune in if you're around, you're not doing nothing, you're sitting there with your hot cocoa, you've already, kissed Santa Claus and whatever. Next Talking About Tuesday is privacy, by the way. It's on privacy. So, and that ties heavily into boundaries. But anyway, yeah, Christmas Eve, make sure you tune in. I'll be here. I'll have some special guests coming in. I'll be in probably the Santa outfit, because why not? Like, fuck it, Actually, no, I have a shirt that says like "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal." I think I'm gonna go with that one.
I like that.
I think I'm gonna go with that one. Just to like keep it appropriate, because the dress is like, it's just like too much to be sitting by myself at my house on a live, but you will see it this Saturday. So no, just kidding. Other than that, that's really it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. People have popped in and out as they always do. It's usually people after. I did get a couple messages from people about our YouTube, so I am very excited about that. So I'll tell you more about that when we're off the live, Eileen. But
Okay, cool.
With that being said, thanks for tuning in. It's been another Talk Without Tuesday. Thank you, Mama Jan.
Us. I hope we learned something. Bye, guys.
We'll see you next week.